Dear Bev, wow, 70 years old. Can you believe it? I know I can't. 60 years old used to be old to me, and then I reached 60. Not so bad. So maybe 70 is not that old. Is 80 the new old? I hope we both find out. I've been trying to remember some events from your 70 years, but I can hardly remember my own years. I remember hearing that you loved to take care of me, and then you loved to take care of Nathan, but I recall none of that. I do remember visiting the place where you were born. It was very sentimental for all of us as we remembered that Mom and Dad had to use the outhouse and go down to the nearby stream for running water. Merv was off at boarding school, so he missed out on this experience, but Mom and Dad said that you adapted so well to this kind of living and that one day you would live in another log house. I guess that was providential. I think the outhouse was the reason why you were in diapers until you were 6 years old. When I came along, Dad had moved into a prison ministry in St. Paul and ministered to all those charged with vandalism. He was called the director of vandalism. I sure don't remember this picture. I must have been taking a nap or cuddling with Mom. It looks like you wanted nothing more of your brother and cousins. They were probably talking about fish or baseball or something else boyish, and you had had enough. I do remember that we used to tease you about your boy cousins and how you had a crush on this one or that one. And why not? They were pretty cute. I think I received the teasing too about Candy and Barbie. And why not? It was better than the teasing I got over Evangeline Oss. Now that was cruel. Calling me the director of evangelism. Tacky, tacky, tacky. Now I remember this picture very well. We were supposed to take the perfect family picture. Merv was in the pose that he learned at modeling school. One knee just a little bent, like he's walking somewhere. It was all the fashion in those days. Dad was telling me to smile, put my hand down, and behave. But I wanted nothing of it. I had more important things to do. And of course, you were just perfect, like you always were. You had the bow in your hair. Your arms were perfectly at their sides, socks pulled up to be perfectly even, your dress pleats perfectly ironed. It is obvious that Mom prepared you well. Look at me. One sock is down on my shoe, while the other is up on my leg. Why didn't I get the preparation that you did? You probably had buckles too. All I got was white shoes. Come on. Surely I deserve better than that. Now this picture I remember very well. What I know is that I finally had Dad all to myself. You had to share Mom with Merv. See how Merv is edging into Mom, trying to get first place with her? But she wouldn't commit. Both of you realized that you had to share her, but I had Dad all to myself. Ha, 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 ha. Are you really holding Merv's hand there? Or is he preparing to squeeze it so you will bolt away from Mom and Merv can have her all to himself? We'll never know, will we? There was a conspiracy going on, and I remember it in this picture. Do you see that you and Merv are together in such a close pose? And there is like 3 or 4 inches of space between you and me. What is that all about? This aloneness that I had to endure all the time still pains me today. Getting hit on the head at Cabacona was a symbol of the aloneness that I felt. Oh, I didn't mention Cabacona yet? Well, it's coming. It's evident in this picture that I am getting the boot from the family picture. I'm surprised I'm still in it. Fortunately, there was no photoshopping in those days. I'm thinking that maybe you were with me when we worked at the Leon's grocery store in Watertown, South Dakota. He asked me, about a 5-year-old, and maybe us, if we would help advertise the Squirt Pop that was making its appearance in Watertown. I remember sitting in the back, and each time a person would come, I would open up a bottle and hand it to them, saying, "Would you like to try this new pop?" That's what we called it in those days. It's called Squirt, and it's really good. Well, more often than not, they turned me down. And I thought it would be bad taste to offer the opened soda bottle to someone else, so I drank the bottle of Squirt, one after another. I must have had 10 or 12 or more. I could never drink Squirt after that. PTSD, post-toxic Squirt drinking. This picture I remember as if it's yesterday. Grandpa said to me, "Mark, you are the only one I trust with the reins. Keep the horse calm. Nathan is too little. Merv is too reckless, having driven the tractor into the ditch just a short time before, and Bev is a girl. Remember how I let you drive the truck on our way back from getting ice cream? Well, it's the same deal. Hold on to those reins and stay in control." Wow, it's amazing. I can remember those words word for word even after all these years. Maybe my memory is not that bad after all. Here's another picture I remember well. We are standing in front of our, 57 Chevy station wagon. Dad and Mom look very matronly and patronly. You are dressed in some kind of outfit. Were they pantaloons or pedal pushers or not very stylish, I'm sorry to say. I don't know who your fashion consultant was. Then look at us three boys. Nathan is finely dressed with a cool striped shirt. The stripes are horizontal to show courage and domination. Merv has his hands in his pockets, and you can just see his Rolex, bought at the same kiosk in China where Ro bought his, over his left pocket. And then I am standing there with my James Dean look, leaning slightly to my right side, while I show off my muscular left arm. It was a classic pose that I had been working on for months. Bev, you really got shown up in this picture. And it was about this time that Cabacona happened. We were up at the rented lake cabin at Preacher's Point, where all the children were well above average. You had a group of friends. Peter and Andrew Rognus must not have been there that week, and so I had no one. I wanted to hang out with my sister and her friends, but no, you had to do things by yourselves. So you all climbed up into the attic, and when I began to follow, you let the door crash down on my head, causing me to get my second set of stitches. My grandchildren sometimes look at the top of my head, and they ask, "So how did you get that scar, Grandpa?" I say, "Well, if it's the one I got when I was about 9 or 10, 11 or 12, it was because my sister and her friends were trying to get away from me, and they hit me with an attic door." They always share their empathy for me and wonder how a sister could be so mean. I never talk about my being a pest or give any indication that my getting hit was my fault. It was always you. I took this picture when I came out to see you in Tacoma, Washington. It was after my junior year in college, and I drove out to see you. One night, not when this took place, we were out eating with two of your roommates. I mentioned that I had driven through Idaho, and Coeur d'Alene was a mess because of a massive fire that had burned it black and awful. All of a sudden, I got this kick under the table, and you mouthed the words, The name of your roommate, whatever her name was, is from Coeur d'Alene. So how was I supposed to know that? My goodness! This was your 9,000th attempt to teach me good manners, I suppose. I don't know why you even tried. It would have been better to just give up. Anyway, at PLU, they didn't allow students to drink 21 beers on their 21st birthday. Instead, you had to eat 21 strands of spaghetti at one time. And this is what you were doing. I had the pleasure to be there when you did it. I think it was the most fun of my entire visit. This was a picture from Grandpa's farm when we visited one summer. Grandma had asked us to get the eggs from the chicken coop. You had to show off by putting an egg in your mouth and then running with it all the way up to the house. Grandma was very upset, I remember, and made you wash it before she would even touch it. I think she threw it in the trash. It was revolting. It was after this that Grandma made you stay in the house and bake bread and not go out to milk cows or collect the eggs. You were a girl, after all. Jumping ahead a little bit, now you have a daughter of your own, and I remember this picture oh so well too. On the outside, it looks like an endearing picture of mother and daughter wearing Norwegian bunads. The real story is painful, however. If you remember, Kari begged you that she be of the same Norwegian community as you. She said over and over again, "I don't want to be different. I want to be just like you, Mom." But you said, "No, this is the most beautiful of all the bunads, and I'm not going to share it with anyone. You'll just have to be content with a lesser one. When you get older, and if you then want to switch communities, well, you just go ahead. Besides, these colors fit very well with my house. And you're in college," I mean, it was 1989, "and don't even live here anymore." This was not your best moment, Bev. We jump ahead with this one, too. It was maybe your most embarrassing moment, at least of my brotherly life. It was at your 60th birthday party, and we were all guests of yours for a week. It was a wonderful time, but this particular afternoon, you had just completed your 12th glass of wine. Merv later said it was 13, and we were all very concerned. This was just after Pauline gave you the chicken and all its clothes. We could not get you to stop laughing. Here Pauline is saying to you, and I can still remember her words, "Beth, you're making a fool out of yourself. Stop your drinking and sober up. I'm a nurse, and this can be damaging to your health. Someday this event might catch up to you, and you could fall unexpectedly and hurt yourself or your grandchildren, if you ever have any. Bev, as your friend, you have to stop." Unfortunately, it hardly worked. We were very concerned about you that day, Bev. This also was a classic event at your birthday party that I'm sure everyone remembers well. Each of us was given a hat to wear, and each one was special. Big Fork Hats and Couture, a local specialty store, made them, and they were made to match our interests. Mine had a hockey theme. It was just wonderful. I still have it on my dresser at home. Ro and Kari planned all this out, if you remember. So, what did you do? You took Mom's hat, and here she was trying to get it back. You were yucking it up, and she said, and I can still remember the disgust in her voice, "Bev, that was my hat. Ro gave it to me. Give it back now." You can still see the angst on her face. My goodness, Bev, did you have no shame? This moment is burned into our memories as well. Once again, Bev, you were drinking, and Ro was joining you. He only had one. It appears that you are looking at each other with love. But Ro told me later that he was looking just to the right of your face and saw a part of the wall that was not stained correctly. He took care of it the next day by getting all of us men to find any unstained portion of the wall and stain it with a special lacquer. I think you women were at the Five and Dime store in Woods Bay. We spent about 5 hours looking for all the little unstained areas. It bothered him so much. Actually, he was thankful that he was forced to look at you that day in that way. Otherwise, he may never have seen the wall and taken care of it, the problem. And you know how much Roe loves his buildings. I wasn't at this gathering, but I heard about it later. Once again, it was very embarrassing to hear of what happened. You have always been interested in Avon and Shackley and pyramid schemes like that where people sign up their friends, you know, to sell items, and then the originator gets a cut of the profits. And then you heard that Goodyear was doing the same. You see the sign in the background? If you just signed up 3 couples, and if each of them sold 40 tires each, you would make a fortune. Of course, the couples had to buy the 40 tires up front, and your money was guaranteed. You bought another turpentine painting with your scammed profits, while your friends were stuck with 40 tires. Finally, all of them donated them to the rummage sale at Central Lutheran Church in Eugene, and someone was able to get some good use out of them. And they all had blemish written on the inside of the tires. Not one of your better moments, Bev. But I guess you turned out okay, even after all these crazy moments. You have an amazing family, a wonderful husband, 3 charming children who love you very much, and 4 grandchildren who adore you. Here, Ilsa is so happy that she gets to stand next to her papa, and Ingrid is looking at you, Bev, and wondering how she got so lucky to be in your family. She cannot believe her good fortune. What a life at 70. And so we look forward to another 10 years and more. When you are 80, Ilsa will be 14 and saying, "Grandma, why are you so old-fashioned? Everyone does it differently today." But she will come over and help you with your computer, make apple pies and lefse with you, and ride her brand new jet-propelled, nuclear-powered paragliding jet ski and boy magnet. Ingrid, just about 11, will want to tell you about the Jane Eyre books she has just discovered and talk over the Harry Potter books she discovered at the library. She'll say, "Grandma, were you alive when the Harry Potter books were written?" You will continue to discourage her from reading any of those Thrones books. You'll be feeling a little bit overwhelmed by your massive house and wondering if you should move into a simpler home where people will be there to help you. Kari and Jay, Elsa and Ingrid will be happy to move into the big house, as they call it. Bailey and Logan will bring their 3 children, your 3 great-grandchildren, and it is good that you have a place for them. For now, Jay and Kari's house is a bit too small to handle 11, 2 parents, 4 children, 2 spouses, and 3 grandchildren. You start to look around in Kalispell, but that's too far away from the family. And so you and Roe begin to develop plans for a brand new Norwegian-style assisted living home on the point on beautiful Flathead Lake. So, happy birthday, Bev, from your little brother who was well taken care of by you when I was a kid, and when I was hurt, and when we had to move in next to you, and during many other times when I needed the consult of a big sister. I love you. Happy birthday, your brother Mark.